talking about another playoff series, the Clippers versus the Utah Jazz. Their first game is tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's a little bit different if you're on the West Coast, but some breaking news happened before we recorded this podcast. Mike Conley is out for game one with a hamstring injury, and it's labeled as a hamstring strain. Right now, another player is going through that same injury, James Harden, but he has hamstring tightness, which is less severe than a hamstring strain. And I think Conley being out for game one is huge. And a hamstring doesn't heal overnight. It's going to take time. I don't think he's going to be 100% at any part of this series. And I think it may cost the Jazz. You know, as much as I love the Jazz this whole season, Mike Conley has been a pivotal part. And I think if he's not at full strength, it's going to be really tough because we saw the Clippers be really resilient against the Mavericks, and I think they finally figured out their lineups and how they're going to play. Pat Bev has been completely taken out of the rotation in favor of Reggie Jackson, and Reggie Jackson has been really great for the Clippers.
Yeah, I got a few takes on this. You know, first of all, the Clippers made it out. Thank God. You know, I was going to get destroyed everywhere if the Clippers lost in the first round. So thank God for that. Utah was my pick to come out if the Clippers lost in the first round. That was my next pick. I thought they was going to go to the finals. I feel like, you know, like the same thing with Phoenix. They're so put together. They know their roles. They know who's their leader. They know who's their guys, and they just know what to do. I think Mike Conley was a big part. It was going to be a big part of that success. Missing him is going to be huge. I think Donovan Mitchell's probably going to play the one now, and they're probably going to start either Ingles or Clarkson. I'm thinking Ingles.
I was thinking Ingles or Niang.
They're probably going to, it doesn't really matter. But Donovan, I think, is probably going to go at the one this time. Mike Conley, it's going to be tough. You know, he's one of their best playmakers. He's advanced stats. He's one of their best players on the court in terms of win shares, plus minus. He's legit one of their best guys. So it's going to be tough to miss out on his defense, his shooting, his playmaking. That's going to be rough, especially when he takes the load off Donovan Mitchell, when he needs a little break. So it's going to be tough. And with the Clippers, you know, we've seen Luka take Pat Bev and Zubac completely out of the series. I don't think Donovan Mitchell has the ability to do that to Zubac. I don't think that's going to work. In particular, I think Zubac will be able to get some minutes in the series because they're going to play Rudy Gobert. Same thing with Ibaka. If he gets healthy, he can get some runs in the series. But I think now with that lineup, you know, Paul George, Kawhi, Morris, Batum, Reggie Jackson, you need Mike Conley because Reggie Jackson has become this bona fide scorer. He's just starting to become a bona fide shooter, a bona fide scorer. Like, this is a Reggie Jackson we've never seen. So
I've seen it in Detroit.
Oh, yeah. Like, he just looks like a beast now. So you needed Mike Conley to kind of counter that. But I think, you know, Utah still has enough depth to pull it out, but it's going to be extremely tough. This Clipper team, like you said, feel like like we said, we've been saying this for 2 years now. They didn't have that fight in them, that dog in them. This team just felt like they earned everything and won nothing. But I think that Dallas Mavericks series coming out the way they did was so impressive, and it definitely put a chip on their shoulders. You know, I feel like they're probably the underdogs in this series. But I think, you know, with the way – I think this is –
You think the Jazz are the underdogs?
Right now, yeah, with Mike Conley going out.
I think the Jazz are still a 6-point favorite in
6
this game.
points?
Or something. I know they're a favorite. I'm not sure by how much points, but they're a favorite.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, like, it's just like, you know, with Utah, they have their situation. Like, who's going to guard Kawhi? Who's going to guard Paul George? You know, Royce O'Neal, he's a good defender, but he's 6'6". He's not that strong. You know, we've seen Kawhi put Dorian Finney-Smith in the blender, and I think Dorian Finney-Smith is a better defender than Royce O'Neal. I don't know how you feel about that. But
I think Finney-Smith has length on him.
I think with PG, this has to be – PG has to – I think he played good against Dallas, but he has to step up more. This is a Utah team that's pretty deep. They have Jordan Clarkson. They have Bogdanovich. They have Joe Ingles. They have guys who can score and match his scoring, so he has to be better on that scoring end. But I think this is an evenly matched setup, and I think this is going to be a great series.
The reason why I think that they might go with Niang as a starter is because – you need somebody to shoulder off the load in terms of playmaking off Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
And I think that you need Ingles to still come off the bench to do that so he can manage the second unit.
Yeah.
Because if he's not there, you're just going to have Jordan Clarkson taking all the shots.
And he's crazy.
And he's not – there's going to be no rhythm on offense. He's just going to shot chuck. So you need Ingles out there off the bench. But then again, as a starter, you also need somebody to take off the load off of Mitchell. And if you don't have Conley and you don't have Ingles in the starting lineup, then who's it going to be? Niang can't do that. O'Neal can't do that.
Yeah.
Bogdanovich can.
Yeah.
He can. But Gobert, we know he can't. I think the key to this series is, will Rudy Gobert be played off the court? That's really what I think it's going to be. Will he be played off the court? Because we know when teams go small, he tends to struggle. And that's something that Tyronn Lue has to try and figure out with his lineups, because I think Mitchell does have the ability to take Zubac out of this series. Because what they were doing to Dallas, basically, what Dallas was doing to the Clippers basically was they were putting Zubac in a pick and roll situation, getting the switch, and Luka was just hitting threes on him. That's really what was happening. Donovan Mitchell can do the same thing, and I think he's quicker than Luka to where he can get into the paint and now create some driving opportunities and kick out to open players. So I think he could play Zubac out of the series, and we might see the Clippers go small. And if the Clippers do go small, what's going to happen then? Because we also saw Dallas, when the Clippers went small, Rick Carlisle went extremely big. He went with Porzingis and Marjanovic.
Yeah, I don't think Utah has that ability to put 2 7-footers out there.
Yeah, they don't have that, but I think that Rudy Gobert alone is that.
Yeah.
And he can dominate the boards, the glass, and he can get a lot of points just in the paint because of that.
Yeah.
So that's what I think the key to this series is. But I'll say this. I think the Jazz will win game one. I think they'll win game one.
I think, like you said, Rudy Gobert can do that. But I think, even when Rick Carlisle did that, the Clippers were comfortable being out-rebounded. Like, they got out-rebounded every time Rick Carlisle did that, and they were comfortable with doing that. They stuck with that lineup. They went with that lineup because that zone ended up getting broken when the Clippers started hitting the shots. These are two of the best top 5 3-point shooting teams in the league in the regular season. And I think, one of the keys is I think Ty Lue has to set that tone early. Kawhi has to guard Donovan Mitchell from game one. I think we've seen a little taste of Kawhi from back in the day, being that lockdown defender on defense, and then being being the best two-way player in the league as what he used to be. So I think he still can be that on any given night. I think Donovan not being the way, not being Luka in terms of a playmaker, he's just he's not just a scorer, but that's his main thing. He's a scorer. I think Kawhi is going to be able to guard that a little better.
To be fair, though, I've seen Donovan Mitchell, when Conley has went out, be that point guard.
Yeah, I think,
and have games of 30 and 10.
Yeah, I think he can do it, but I don't think it's as consistent as Luka or as dominant as Luka.
No,
so I think
it's not.
And Luka's kind of a little bit of more finesse. He has a lot of skill to his bag. I don't think Donovan has that, but he's still a great scorer. But I think Ty Lue has to set tone early and put Kawhi on Donovan Mitchell. He has to do that.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
And the reason why is because we've seen before that to start series, Kawhi will never be on the best player. Versus Toronto, when the Bucks dominated them, they went up 2-0.
Yeah.
Now Kawhi is on Giannis. Kawhi is only going to take that assignment when he knows that he absolutely has to, and this is the only way. But if the Clippers can win these games without him having to guard Mitchell, he's not going to guard Mitchell.
Yeah, I say that because I don't think Utah's that team that you can play around with and you can sit there and be down 2-3. It's hard. Like Luka, granted, Dallas is a great place to play, but it's really hard to go to Game 6 or to Game 7 in Utah and beat them on their home floor. That crowd is ridiculous. They take home court serious, and they play extremely well on their home court. So it's going to be tough. I don't think Utah is that type of team where you can play around with them early. I think the Clippers need to win tonight. I don't know if they're going to win. I'm still iffy on it because I know they come out. They usually come out of series. They slack up. But I think they need to win tonight, especially without Mike Conley. They need to get this win. Try to get both of these wins, but definitely split one in Utah and then try to get those two in L.A.
I don't think it would matter much if they lose or win because I think, yes, today is game one. What is today? It's Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Thursday is game 2. If Conley can't play tonight and is out, nothing makes me believe that he's going to be 100% by game 2. I think he'll still be pretty hobbled and pretty injured, and I think that will be a game-time decision, and he might even be ruled out for that one because it's a hamstring strain. It's not something to be played around with. He can injure that even more if he comes back prematurely. So that's why I don't think this is a must-win game. It's just game 1, and I do think this is the best series in the playoffs. We thought in round 2 at least. We thought that it was going to be the Nets and the Bucks, but so far it hasn't been a great series. And I think Nuggets and Suns is a close second, but I think this series right here.
I would put Atlanta and Philly. I might put that at.
I don't know. I think the Clippers and Jazz were legitimately getting a Western Conference Finals series right here. Yeah. I think this could have easily been a Western Conference Finals matchup, and we're getting it in the second round.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an amazing series. Who do you have winning, you said? You didn't even tell me.
The series,
I don't know.
Honestly, I really don't know. I don't want to give a prediction. I really don't know.
I got to stick to what I've been standing on. So I got Clippers. Like I said, I had Clippers coming out the West. So I'm not going to give a prediction, but I'll say I think this series goes the length. I think it goes 70 games. 7?
I really do. I think it's a 70
Clippers
series.
Go through another 7. That'd be
yeah, it'll get them prepared for,
their bodies
the
going
Western
to be
Conference
torn.
Finals.
Yeah, I think either West side, we're going to get a great WCF at this point. And it's, you know what, I saw this thing the other day that showed all the teams that either never won or haven't won in a long time, and I think that's great too for the game, that we're going to get a new winner, whether it be the Nets, who never won a chip, or it'd be the Clippers, who never won a chip, or I think Phoenix never won a chip. Yeah,
Phoenix never won a chip.
Denver never won a chip either.
Never won.
Utah never won. Yeah,
Utah.
so it's great that we're getting something like that, something like a new thing. Like they said, LeBron and Steph have been in the finals since 2000. I'm glad we're getting something different. It's great for the game.
I mean, I love when teams win their first championship. That's why I love when the Raptors won their first.
It's great.
Because I thought it was good for the league.
It brings that separation, that we don't get the same LA, Boston, Miami. We don't want that. We want to see something new. So it's great.